tables are used to display data in rows and columns formats on web pages. And also, tables organize information neatly, making it easier for users to understand and compare data. All right. And then we have the structure of HTML table. Okay. So which means we have tags that we use whenever we want to create table in HTML. So we use the table tag. The table tag is the container for the entire table. All right. And then we have the head, the table head, we have the table body, and the table foot. All right. And then in the table head, of course, the table head contains the header rows, which is the TR. TR means table row. And then the header cells, which is the TD, that is table heading. So we have table heading in the table head. And then we have TR. TR stands for table row, which contains cells, that is either TD or TH. TD means table data, and then TH is table heading. Okay, so we have TH, which is the table header, right? Sorry, we have table header, right? So the table header cells, which is bold and centered by default. And then we have TD, which is the table data cell. And then, of course, we have the body, which contains the main data rows, the TR, and the table cells. And then lastly, we have the T foot, which contains the footer rows, TR, and then the footer cells, TD. So this is how we can create a table in HTML. So use the table element to define a table. So first, remember the table element is the container for the entire table. So we start the opening tag here, and then the closing tag is closed here. And right in the table element, we have the table head, as you can see. Table head starts here and then it ends here. And then we also have the table body, okay, which starts here and then it ends here. And then we have the table foot, okay, the beginning of the table foot and the ending of table foot. And if you look right in the table head, nested in the table head, we have the T row, okay. So which means anytime you want to create a piece of data, the first thing you need to do is to create a role, right? Now, if you want to understand what a role is, a role actually goes from left to right or right to left, okay, and then column goes from top to bottom or bottom to top. I think that's where it should be able to understand the difference between rows and columns. All right. So in the table head, we first create a role and then we have the table header. So we can have header one and then header two. Then in the body, that is where you have the table data, right? TD, table data one, data two, and then of course the footer. If you have any footer content that you want to create, you can pass it in the table foot of the table element. All right, so I'm going to let me show us this screenshot here. So here is a perfect example of what an HTML.
Sir, please, I cannot hear you.
Network is bad. Sir, we cannot hear anything you are saying, sir.
Please, we cannot hear you.
Sir, I can't really see your
You can
video.
see my screen, right? Yes.
Sir?
Please be nice. Yeah. I know. Please, I'm going to fix that now. Let me switch to another. Uh,
Sir, please, I cannot hear you.
Go, guys, calm down.
A minute. Let me check. Yeah, I think we should be good now. Oh, can you hear me now? Oyande, can you hear me?
Sir.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right. I think we are good now. And I believe you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir. I can see it.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I was explaining the screenshots. I said this is a perfect example of what an HTML table looks like, right? We have the table, of course, we have the table, right? And then we have the table head. So in the table head, this bold content, right? This number, um, full name, position, and salary. We actually call them the table header, okay? And then as you can see, the first row here, it contains an information for a particular person, right? So you can see it is actually giving us an information about Bill Gates. So number one, Bill Gates. Position is what the founder, Microsoft, and then salary we have $1,000. All right. And then for the second information, we have Steve Jobs, founder Apple, and then $1,200. So from number one to number four, you can consider this content as what we can pass in the table body of our table elements, right? And then the top one here is the table head, okay, which can be passed in the table header. No, the table header which can be passed in the table head of the table elements. So let's see how we can achieve this in the HTML. First, we need to get the table element and then write the table element. You specify the table head, the table body, and the table body you specify the table header. So, but before you create the table header, the first thing you need is the table role. And remember, we use TR to create a row. Let's try it. I'm going to create a comment HTML table. So first, we start with table, the table element, and then first thing we should do is to get table head and then the table body. And then in the head, before we can create the table header, right? So we want to create these table headers, number, full name, position, and salary. And as you can see, they are all in a row. And I mentioned that to understand what a roll is, just consider a line from left to right or from right to left. That is what we call a row, okay? On a straight line from left to right, and then column. Column is actually from top to bottom or from bottom to the top. So a vertical line. Then a row is an horizontal line. Please, it is very, very important. This will help, especially if you get to CSS, where we start building layers or layout using Flexbox. All right. So to create this row, we need a TR, the TR element. TR stands for table row. Then in the TR, we need the column for number, full name, position, and salary, right? So that way we use TH. That's for table header, number. The next one, I think full name. Then position, salary. All right. So see, we have a single row, and right in the row we have four columns. One, two, three, four. Number, full name, position, and salary. All right. So that's what the table head. Now let's see the output. I'm going to save into the browser. Okay. I think I haven't done this yet. Okay, good. You see, we have number, full name, position, and salary. Right now, we can't see the border. You can see we have borders, right? This line that divides each rows and column in the table. So to achieve that, you pass the border attributes in the table element. So in the opening tag of the table element, you're going to pass the border attribute, okay? And then you can set it to any number that you want. So we use one in this case. I want 18, but I don't want it to be too thick. So I'm going to pass value 1 as the value of other attributes. So let's see the output. Save. Good. You can see we've been able to achieve this border in our table. So next thing we need to do is to create the table data that we have in the table body, right? That is information for each person. The first person is Bill Gates, second person Steve Jobs, Larry Page, and Mark. Okay, so now in the table body, to create the first data for the first person, it means we need another row, right? And remember how to create a row. We use what? TR tag, the TR tag. And then the first information is the number of the person, which is 1, right? So that is the first the first data or the first table header of the first person is 1. So we use table data, that's TD. Take note, TD, not TH. So you can see the difference between TH and TD. TD is meant to be in the table body, right, which represents the data of the table, while TH is meant to be in the table head of the table element, which is considered as a table header. Okay, so 1. And then the next information is the full name of the person, right? Second data. So Bill Gates, Bill Gates, and then position, Microsoft, salary, we have indoors 1,000, right? 1,000. Save. Then if I head straight to the browser and refresh, you see we have Bill Gates. Maybe we should take this one after the other so that we can understand what is going on. Um, I'm going to remove these lines, okay, these 3 lines. So I'm going to save this and have only number
Master, please, I
1.
have a question.
All right, okay, I'm listening.
Sir, how did you get to a tabular form?
It's as a result of the table element. Remember, if you want to create a table, you need the table tag. All right. So the table tag is a container for the entire table. So
Okay,
the
thank
browser, yeah, exactly. The browser understand this HTML document. So the moment the browser sees the table tag, it knows how to render it in tabular form.
you. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So save. Now look at it. The full name is blank. Same thing for position, and we also have salary blank, right? We only have data for number. So which means if you want to get full name for the first row, right, you need to create the table data, which is Gates, right? I save this, head back to the browser and refresh. You see, we have the data there. And then for position, that means we need to proceed in the same table row, please. It is very, very important. Table row. So TD position as Microsoft. Save, refresh. As you can see, is under position. And then lastly, we have the salary. So table data again, $1,000. Save, refresh, and then we have it, right? So let's look at the next person, Steve Jobs, right? Apple, founder Apple. So I believe you know what we need to do right now. So it means we need to create another row for another record, right? So that means immediately after the closing tag of the first row, the first TR in our table body list, this is very important. That means we cannot create another row, right? So the second row, this is second row actually. So maybe I should just break it for more clarity. All right. So the first table data obviously is the number, right? The number from the table header. We need the header, sorry, the number for this particular record. So this is going to be number 2, right? So the second table header is the full name of the person, right? Full name. So full name Steve Jobs. And then the third table header is position, founder, Apple, and finally the salary, right? Which is $1,200. Save this. All right. So you see, to Steve Jobs, founder Apple, $1,200. Let's just get some other random content here. I'll just form some random information. So another table role, because I want to create a new record in our table. So the table data. So this is going to be the third record rather. So let's say Ahmed Musa. Then the third one is the position. I don't know, Super Eagle, striker, $800. Okay, see, let's get 2 more. Or Zuckerberg. I don't know the spelling. Okay, Zuckerberg. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Position, founder, Facebook, and the salary. I just get some random salary there. Okay. Okay, found that Google, that's Larry Page. So a new role for a new record. So the number is 5, the name, Larry Page, founder, Google, and $1,500. So that's it. This is how we create a table in HTML. You may actually ask that why is our border why do our border actually have some kind of spacing in between the table cells, right? As you can see, this cell here for number and the full name, in between them we have this space, right? So there is a way we can close it to have a just a line, just as we have in this table, right? We have a single line. There is no space in between the cells. All right. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I would like to increase the width. So you can increase the width of your table if you want. So in my own case, I would like to give it a width of 50%. So to take half of my device screen, okay, the device width, right? Good. So 50% of my laptop width. So next thing is to close this up, close the cell. So there is an attribute called cell spacing. Cell spacing. I will set this to 0. I don't want any space in between the cells. So cell spacing 0. I'm going to refresh. Good. So you see we have just a single line for the rows and columns. Next is you can actually increase the padding. I mean you may actually say the contents are too close to the lines, right? So we can increase the padding. There's a space inside of each cell, and to achieve that, you need to pass another attribute, cell padding, in the table element. So I can give this 15, and this 15 is in pixels, that's picture element. So 15 cell padding, and let's take a look at the output. Refresh, and then we have this. So I believe this is looking nice. So this is how we create table in HTML. You can organize your data, and then this is looking neat if you ask me. Please, do you have any question? Do you have
No,
questions?
sir.
All right, no question. Um, there is another
Sorry, I have
one.
a,
Okay, you have a question.
sorry, I think we are not there yet. So there's a question I was trying to know about using Pixel and RAM. Which one is better?
Okay, I actually appreciate the fact that you say we are not there yet, because
Yeah.
that is. The thing is, I can't really see one is better than the other. It just depends on what you want. The truth is, if you are building a responsive website, using a pixel is not advisable. In fact, don't even use it, because pixels is an absolute unit, and what an absolute unit means is that whatever value you set, it will never change across different devices. So which means if you set this width to 50 pixels, right? If
Mm.
you open it on your phone, it's going to be 50 pixels. And in that way, it can affect the responsiveness of that website. But like RAM is a relative unit, which means it adjusts itself into different size. So they all have like use or cases. So like pixels, there are instances whereby you just have to rely on pixels, and then we also have RAM and EM as well. But just as I've mentioned, I mean, for responsive design, don't use pixels, please. Otherwise, your website will not look nice across different devices. So don't worry, we go to units, measurements, and units in CSS. We're going to talk
Yeah,
better
all right.
on them. Yeah, thank you. Any other question, please? Okay, I guess that's a no. Let's try this other one. Good. So look at this table here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if the screen is not too tiny. So we have this table with footer example. Just want to show us how we can use the T foots in our table. Remember, we have the T head, T body, and then we have the T foot as well. So quickly, let's simulate this kind of table in our HTML. So I'm going to create another table. This time around, I will say HTML table with T foot, right? So remember, excuse me, first thing you need to do is to get the table element, which is a container for the entire table. And then we need the table head, table body. So since we'll be using the table foot, right, so we can introduce it now. So in the table head, what do we need? We need a row first, right? In the row. And remember how to create a row. We use the TR, right? TR for a row. And then in the TR, we need table header for product, table header for price, table header for quantity, and table header for total. Right. So TH, that's table header. Table header for what's that again? Price, quantity, and total. Price, quantity. Finally, we have total. Save this. Let's see. Refresh. Okay, so I would like to create space between them. So to achieve that, maybe I'm just going to get an heading there. Maybe an heading one. HTML table. HTML table footer, just to differentiate the two tables exactly. So next up, no border yet, and that's because we haven't introduced the border attribute right in the table element, right? So to do that, you get the border, and then set the value to 1. And boom, good. But we have cell spacing, and you already know how to remove it by setting the cell spacing attribute to 0. Save, refresh. So let's increase the width as well. Give it a width of 50%. And by the way, percentage is a relative unit. All right, it is a relative unit. It is another perfect example to create a responsive design. Okay. Okay, width. We just increase the width, and then maybe the cells padding as well. Let's pad it to create some breathing space for each table cell. Okay, maybe I should go for 20 or maybe 18 this time around. Doesn't matter. So you can just go for what looks nice for you. Okay, so now let's work on the table body. So the table body, for the first item, it means that we need a row, right? We need a row, first item. So TR first, and then for the value for the first table header, we need a TD, that's table data, right? So product, let's say price. Copy and paste the code. Okay. All right, no problem. I will do that. TD. Next price is let's say 80K. Quantity. Say we are getting 3. So total is going to be, I think, 240K. TD, that's 8 times 3 is 224, right? 240K. Let's refresh. Okay, good. We have rise. Okay, let's get maybe 2 more. Another product, beans, 65. Then we are getting just 2 bags. So that's going to be, I think, 130. Yeah, 130. Okay. So again, under table row, I don't know, yeah, TD, say 10K, and we are getting 10 tubers of yam. That's going to be 100K. Save, and then boom. So we have rice, beans, and yeah. Now for the foods, for the table foods, which is this total. Let's see how we can achieve that. So I will head back to my code. Now in the tip foot, obviously we need a row because as you can see, we have them in row, right? Total, and then the total value, actually total as the content, and then the value, the actual value, which is, when you add them up, the total basically. So T row, and then for the first table data, need total, and then second one. So because of time, I may not really get the actual total. So let's just get some random value. Let's say total of everything we bought sums up to maybe 50K. All right, so save, and then back to the browser. Let's refresh. Good. So as you can see, we are not getting the same output as what we have here. We actually want our table, this total to span across 3 columns, right? 1, 2, 3, to span across 3 columns, and then the second table data should take the last column. So to do that, there is another special attribute that we can use on table data, right? So since we want the table data for total to span across 3 columns, we need to target the element, and the element is this guy right here, this TD for total, right? So we have what we call call span, that's column span. So if you want to span the column, you will specify the number of columns that you want this table data to span into. So in our case, we want total to span across 3 columns, right? 1, 2, and 3. All right. So that way is we push 350K to the end or to the last column on our table. So I will give this 3. Save to the browser, refresh, and good. As you can see, we have our total and then 350K. Please, do we understand?
Not really. Please, I can come again.
Explain. Yes, please.
Has
Yes,
come
please.
again. The last part or where? From where, please?
The
From
last
where
part.
exactly? The last
Last
part.
part.
Okay. The last part. All right, that's fine. Okay, column span. I guess that's the issue right now. Look at this carefully. This is just a way of you know um organizing your data, right? I mean, you can as well just keep total on this column and then get your 35 here. But as a way of improving the experience of a user, I mean, even in a normal receipt, right? If you go to maybe a store to get some items, right? Then you check your receipt, they are always organized neatly. Then you can actually see the total on the same line where all every other items are being added or are being placed. All right. So we are trying to achieve the same design in our HTML table. And I mentioned that the moment we get to this table foot, right? We have just 2 table data in this case. Obviously, in the table body, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we have in a row, we have 4 columns, right? 4 columns. Column 1, which is for product. Column 2 for price. Column 3 for quantity, and then the last one is for the total, right? But this footer is quite different from every other information in our table. The footer tells us the total of what everything we have in the table body. So in that case, we might not really, in fact, we don't need to follow the format we have in the table body, which means we have value for each column in our table. All right. So now since we want total to be in this form, that means we need to find a way to span the table data of our column of our total, okay, to span across 3 columns so that the last value will be placed under this total. I don't know if that makes sense. And to achieve that, we have the call span attribute. Okay, now let me set this to 2. If I set this to 2, right, 350 will be under quantity because what I'm saying is that total should span across 2 columns, that is product and price. So that will bring 350 under quantity. So let me refresh. So you can see we have total, which takes the space for product and price, and then we see 350K under quantity. But we don't want this actually. We want this total 350K to be under total, right? So that way we need to calculate the number of columns this total needs to span into so that 350K will be pushed under the total column. Does that make sense, please?
Yes, it does.
It
Yes, sir.
does.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. I didn't get that correctly, but I just believe we have to do that. So I will change it to 3 and then back and then boom, we have it here. Okay, but then we have this total being centralized, right? It is aligned to the center of its container, right? It is actually at the center. Although we can achieve this with CSS, in fact, we can even use HTML, right? But I don't like using HTML to format or to style my documents. But for the sake of this lecture, there is another tag in HTML, right? Which is called center. So we have center tag, center, I say total, save, back to the browser, then refresh. So you see we have total at the center of its container.